Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime summertime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire.
You've
If you
got to see
refuse
my
me,
friend. He can
honey,
sing, he
you
can
lose me.
dance.
And you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone
No,
and
look at
tell
him.
me,
He's
tell me
dancing. He's
I'm
singing.
your own.
No, look, he was doing it a second ago. Sing. Boys, sing that. But he was doing it. You should see him. It's incredible. But don't take me away. This is Rough Cuts.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
It's been sleeping soundly for over a decade. Now, this unforgettable legend that was created by the gods is returning to once again change the face of mischief. This February,
What's happening?
one mask fits all. Jamie Kennedy,
Honey, I think it's time we trade up.
Alan Cumming,
This is a fake. Yes, but it's a good fake. Ow.
and introducing Otis as Otis the dog.
Buckle up, baby.
Son of the Mask.
That's all I got. I got nothing.
So you were just saying that you think that this movie is inappropriately infamous.
Yes.
In that, like, it's bad. It's definitely bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's very bad. We all knew it was bad. We walked into it knowing it was bad. We get it. It was terrible. But it wasn't interestingly terrible, right?
Okay, so name a infamously bad film. Name a bad movie. You
The
know
Pest.
bad movies.
I'm good.
I owned a VHS of The Pest.
I'm good.
Okay, name another bad movie.
Okay.
Like
The Room.
Space Mutiny, right?
Yeah.
Like Red Brown rolling around in a little car.
Miami.
cardboard.
Miami Connection.
Miami Connection. Yeah, blow up doll shot into
Tracks.
the sky, and a fucking RPG shoots it out of the sky.
Mhm.
Hilarious. Tracks. Fucking Tracks.
The
You know what I
villain.
think
The
about your
villain
cookies?
farts and dies.
Yeah, you know what I think about your cookies? Boom.
Then
Hilarious.
he blows himself up, and that's the end of the movie, kind of.
I
Mhm.
feel like this is a movie that is mentioned online and then just repeated. I don't think there's an original opinion about this film. That's
think-
the way I'm gonna put that out there. As far as infamously bad, I don't feel like that's earned.
But you just said that there's not an original idea about this film. But see, I would say that that's perfect. That matches up everything exactly because this
Yeah,
movie also does not have an original idea in it.
like this movie is basically
That's-
Family Guy.
Yes. Yeah,
That's it.
I said that eventually. It has
Like
huge
to-
Family Guy
yeah,
energy.
To say this movie is infamously bad is
To say
to-
Family Guy is infamously bad.
No, wait, no, that's right.
Hold,
But not in the same
boys,
way, though.
I'm winning the argument, boys.
No,
This is a debate club. Score
And-
one for me.
And I agree that Family Guy is bad, but it's not like bad. It's not a bad movie that you watch and enjoy for bad reasons in any way, right?
Correct.
Like-
correct.
Like if you're talking about a B movie, a bad movie, something that's infamous to talk about, that is whispered between friends to be like, have you seen Son of the Mask?
Well, but is this
Nobody-
one done like
nobody
that? I
does
feel like
that.
this one is just done as in like, don't watch it.
Yeah, but on the internet that means watch it.
Okay.
That's how the internet
That means-
talks.
I think that just means it for us. I think that means it for us. I think that that's all that means.
I have a couple bullet points.
Yeah.
It's just
I do.
kind of boring. That's a bullet point.
Yeah.
It's mostly boring. It's cynical.
Yes.
Extremely cynical.
Yes. Yeah.
Whenever it doesn't have something to reference, because it's entirely derivative of other works, it's half-assed on those jokes. Anything that is original is done in a way that isn't even remotely well done or completed. It's like a half thought.
Well, it's not. Yeah, most of the time it's not even that it's well done or not completed, because okay, stuff that's real that goes whole ass, but is like not good. That's also interesting. That's fun. That's something that we
It
do want to
can
see in
be,
these movies.
but
But this
there's
movie
no-
doesn't go for that. It doesn't even. Anytime that it has something original, it
Yeah.
it can't follow through. There's zero follow through on it.
Like,
A
there's-
good
there's
example.
no heart,
I know that
too.
you're gonna.
Yeah.
I know that you want to do the rest of your bullet points, but I just want to highlight it as in an exact moment in the movie
Yeah.
where Jimmy Kennedy, as the Mask, when he puts on the mask again and he's doing like a big final fight, he's driving like this big cartoon clown car, and he goes, "Look, honey, no hands," and holds up his hands, and he goes, "Oh, just kidding," and immediately grabs the wheel, and it's like, but he just took his hands off the car, but.
Babe, look. No hands. I'm kidding.
Like in the original Mask, like I said, I'm like, he'd have like held up his hands and there would have been his arms and there would have been no hands on the end of his hands, and they'd have been like still driving the car kind of thing, and he'd have been like, just kidding, like it had been something like that. But it wasn't something that they were ripping off, so they didn't know how to make a joke
They
out of
didn't
it.
know how to make a joke. Yeah. Jim Carrey had faces, like Jim Carrey does,
Yes.
which were expressive and interesting. Every expression in this movie is just dead. No expression. No emotion. Except for
everyone.
exactly one character
Two?
who is
I think there's two characters. The wife does a really good job.
Wife and Loki, maybe?
Wife and
Like,
Loki. Yes.
Those are it. And then, of course, every line is given with no energy. Every single line.
A lot, yes. The vast, famously, the Mask is known for having no
Like-
energy. Like, do you remember when Jim Carrey in The Mask goes up and he goes,
Yeah.
smoking?
He goes up, he's like, I have a cigarette in my mouth and I am smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Please clap.
I think that's we can lay 95% of that at the feet of Jamie Kennedy.
It's probably him, and it's also the director of Cats and Dogs.
It is the director of, yeah. I mean, okay, yes. The other thing is that, like, I can't entirely blame Jamie Kennedy because how much of that is the director being like, no, that takes good, whatever, I don't know, I guess.
I'm not gonna give our viewers what they want, our listeners what they want, because I don't feel anything for this movie. That's what's upsetting me the most. I'm like, I don't care. I can be upset at things in this film. There are things that I think are wrong, and they tell a little too much about the director and the writer. A little too much.
I think that what you're saying, yeah, I get that you're saying that you were hoping, you worried that this movie was what it is, and it is exactly what it is, but you were hoping against hope that it was somehow a little bit more like Bracelet of Bordeaux, or like some of those,
like baffling.
Again, the relentlessly actual bad movies that are kind of funny.
Yeah,
because of how bad they are.
It's not baffling though. I can explain everything in this film.
Yeah,
I can explain every single decision.
That I get. Yeah, because a lot of some of the joy that I get from this is why are there steamboat Italian mafia members with punkoids under them in this movie? Yeah, like shit like that. And there's
like that makes no sense. But in this, it's just like, oh, because
they have no creativity.
They have no creativity, or because the writer hates women.
Because the writer and director, or I don't know, somebody involved with this, somebody at the top, really has the most divorced dad energy I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like,
It gets bad. It's
The
really
biggest
bad.
feeling I got from this movie is that either the writer or the director or both felt like their entire career was sidelined because of a woman and or a child, and that if only the world appreciated them more for their genius in creating fictional works, then everything would be better. But all these awful women and awful children and awful people that won't appreciate them
Keep
are
standing
here.
in their way.
That's what I got. That is exactly how I can explain this film. And that's not funny. That's the problem.
Smokehead!
That's not funny.
That's
That's incredibly sad.
It's just tragic. It's just tragic. I'll agree with you
Yes.
there. I think that a lot of, in defense of people that are like have made this film infamously bad, this movie had a theatrical release and a huge budget. People
Yeah.
would this is one of the movies. I think the problem is that we are bad movie aficionados, and to us this movie it's bad, but it is like middle of the pack for bad for us.
Middle of the road. It's not 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is what it has bad.
Well, I can
would
see
say-
why. Okay, but the 6% on Rotten Tomatoes is not. Here's the trick about Rotten Tomatoes. That's not a measure of how bad all the reviewers found it. It's just
It's
a
an
binary
average,
answer,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
no, for average reviewers. And I can say that this movie has zero appeal to anybody, which
Yes.
that makes sense for 6% for Rotten Tomatoes, is that it just literally appeals to no one. Even the people that like bad movies and stuff look at this and go, well, but this just is an entirely derivative piece of shit. There's nothing interesting here.
I have another complaint about this movie.
Mhm.
The only minorities in this movie are either the
Mm.
friend of the white guy who is there to be a advice giver,
Mhm.
or they're being literally mentally controlled by white people.
I didn't
Like
wanna
their
get into
brain
that
being
too
their
much,
brain
but
being
yeah.
taken over by a white Norse god. Those are the only minorities in this film.
I don't
And that
like
is
it.
again, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
No,
That just sucks.
that just sucks.
Smokehead!
Okay. I think that we should talk about the actual movie. The thing is, we reversed roles. Last week I was you, and now this week you're me. Because last week I was like, but I don't even want to talk about this film. It sucks all joy out of life. There's nothing. I don't find something fun or interesting in this.
I wrote a page of notes and I don't give a shit about any of it. That's the problem.
I wrote like 6 notes.
I have a whole
I do.
page of notes and I don't want to care about any of it.
I don't know. There wasn't enough for me to write a page of notes to me, honestly. But so here's the thing: the main character, Jamie Kennedy, is holy shit. I don't remember his name. Something Tim. It's Tim. Tim Avery, which I knew that I remembered the Avery thing because
they're making
Tex Avery is the famous cartoonist, and so of course he's this. Oh, like this is the thing about this movie that I kind of find fascinating is how much this character is a self-insert and how much of a super genius cool guy he is and what they think a super genius cool guy is, because boy, it sucks. But Tim Avery is with his wife, but he really, really, really hates children and doesn't want children. And he's making certain that she knows that he hates children and doesn't want children.
Come on, Tanya. I'm not saying I don't want to have a baby. I'm just
buddy.
saying I don't want to have a baby right now.
So why not?
Hey, guess what? That is a valid life decision. If you don't want children, cool.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't want kids. My wife doesn't want kids. But the thing is that she wants children, and so they should just break up.
Yeah, they
Instead of
should. No,
him
that's
like
right.
hating her and resenting her for wanting a child, and she thinking that he's a child for not wanting kids. But no, and not that's not what happens. Instead, he, for some reason, his dog has the mask, which we don't explain in the slightest.
He finds it in the river
I guess.
and then brings it home. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just decides for Halloween that he'll put it on for
I mean,
no
so
reason.
in the original movie, Stanley Ipkiss finds it in the water, right? Because like some mobsters threw a guy in the river that had the mask,
Yeah.
and they threw it in with him, but it's made of wood, so it floats, and then he just finds it and puts it on. So again, it's derivative. It floats by the water. Somebody finds it, and then he puts it on.
Yeah.
Like,
I can get that though if it's trying to do the same thing as the mask, but
it's trying to do the same thing, but like Stanley Ipkiss is a better character. in
Oh
the first
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
not
no,
even
no,
not
no.
even Jim Carrey. Just
Yeah.
the character is better.
Yes, no, of course, because this character is
Yeah.
a blank slate self-insert super genius who
Yeah.
people just don't appreciate enough. Like, that's part of the reason for me that this film is mildly interesting, in just that, like, the meta-ness of that this feels like such an aggrieved person of like, no one truly appreciates my art in a way, and like this stupid
Yeah.
woman and child stand in my way and people don't really get me, but I'm actually the biggest super genius of all time, which I don't. Was he mad that Cats and Dogs got a 54%? Because that was the only movie before this. This is the other thing that's surprising to me. We had a big thing about who the fuck Oliver Daly. Who the fuck is Lawrence Guterman? Isn't it? It's Lawrence Guterman, right?
Whatever
Was his name?
Yeah.
Because his movies are, he started with Cats and Dogs, and then he did The Son of the Mask. Those are the only movies that
Then he's
got.
done. Yeah.
And the first one has a budget of like 60 million, and this one had a budget of like 80 to 100 million in 2005. That's Marvel money.
Yeah.
And they did it off the back of one movie. Like, why is he getting these movies? Why him? Why this guy? And why is he so aggrieved? Like, is it maybe the writer that's so aggrieved? I don't know. Like, it feels like somebody has like a personal vendetta against Hollywood or something here.
He was the writer for Cats and Dogs also. He was the director and writer for that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for this one, he's just the director.
In this one, they used a different script. So I don't think Cats and Dogs was this cynical.
No.
Right? So this has to be the writer.
I guess.
It has to be. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense otherwise.
Unless
he didn't talk about it in that movie, and then he's like, now I'm a director.
Maybe.
I'm gonna put my foot fetish in the movie later. That'll get him.
We saw Cats and Dogs. That makes sense for how creepy weird that movie was, because that movie had some creepy energy to it to me. I hated how perverted that movie was.
Oh,
but
here's the problem. I figured it out. He's Canadian.
Anyway, so he goes to the Halloween party and puts on the mask that the dog. He puts on the mask that the dog had, and then he transforms into the Jim Carrey mask, but it's Jamie Kennedy. So all they have energy for is a mashup Neil Cicerega style shitpost, which is kind of incredible. Of Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, where
okay, hold on,
oogles women and strips them down.
It's a mashup / medley / rap music video in the style of Busta Rhymes. Nope, not a fan of this.
I'm also not a fan of him just like randomly undressing women.
Yep.
This is his whole thing, huh?
You're just too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby. You feel like having a touch. I wanna hold you so much. Yeah, yeah.
Does it think Jamie Kennedy was a big enough star to...
You're too good to be true. Can't take my eyes. Can't take my eyes off of you. Yo.
Whatever the budget was again, they spent too much.
Oh god, yes.
No one else who can compare.
It was 84 to 100 million.
There are no words left to speak. So if you feel like I feel.
I actually
it's a little
fucking
more-
love it. I actually
Yeah.
fucking love this part because it's so bad, but it's... And of course it's in the style of Buster Rhymes. Like, it's always in the style of something.
Yeah.
This is... It's
I-
hard because it's hard to say what is the difference between an homage and just not having an original idea.
I figured out how he got this movie, by the way.
Okay.
And Cats and Dogs.
Oh.
He did some additional director work on Ants.
Yeah.
With a Z.
Yeah, I knew
So
that.
that was his in. He's like, I'm a director.
I guess.
he did,
And,
like,
that
one
movie's
scene in
okay. That
Ants.
movie's good.
Yeah, but that was it. That was his in. And
It's
somebody
just
gave
that
him a chance.
It's such an incredible leap forward for
Yeah.
somebody who yeah.
Okay, if you're making a resume, you say you were a director on Ants. You don't
That's
say
a big thing. Yeah,
you
no,
don't
no.
say that you did additional director work for one scene that was reshot for Ants.
Sure.
You say, I am an Ants director. Give me Cats and Dogs.
So I have a question. How did he do additional directing for the movie Ants, which also has like $105 million budget and a million really
That's,
good actors and stuff in it?
That's the
and
Woody Allen movie, right? Or
yeah, Woody Allen is a character in it. I wouldn't call it a Woody Allen movie because it's not like directed or written by him or anything. It has him as a voice. He's the main voice, but it also has Sharon Stone, Jennifer Lopez, Sylvester Stallone, Christopher Walken, Dan Aykroyd, Anne Bancroft, Danny Glover, and Gene Hackman. Like, it's fucking full of...
yeah. And if you put I'm a director for this film that had these actors in it on your resume, someone's gonna give you a movie. And then Cats and Dogs
it also
made
like,
money.
Ants is actually critically acclaimed. Like, Ants is Ants has a very, very good rating. Ants is known as a very good film.
But what I'm saying is Cats and Dogs actually made money. It's as shitty as it was.
It made a lot of money.
It made money. So they gave him a bigger budget and another chance with Son of the Mask. That's
Anyways,
why.
because he got over promoted, he is now bitter at Hollywood. I don't know.
Yes.
And this whole movie is about this aggrieved man. So he goes and does his shtick at the Halloween party for his company, which he is a mascot in. They have an open office floor plan for an animation studio.
Okay, yeah, you were about to say the Imagineers.
It was
basically-
Animagine, yeah.
Hey, boys and girls, I'm Torpedo Torres. Here
What?
at Imagine, your dreams come true.
What?
There's so much fun
What?
here for me and you.
What?
And imagine in the morning, and imagine at night. You're watching cartoons.
So they're-
at home?
Like they're showing what a loser he is, I guess. That he'll be a mascot.
Animagine, but it's basically the Disney Imagineers with a Disney studio with Disney animators in a fake sweatshop animation studio.
Yeah. Where he's on the ground floor that tours the office and he dresses as a mascot. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But then he's trying to become an animator.
The important part is that he resents his wife for having an actual career.
Yes.
That's the point of this scene. It's not that he works for an animation studio, which is part of the plot, but it's specifically that he resents his wife for having a career because he has a shitty job.
I don't think that comes in as much until later, but it's the setup for that.
Yes.
It comes in a lot more later, but it definitely sets that tone.
Because the transition to that scene is him talking to his wife saying, we can't have a kid because you have a real job and I'm a piece of shit. And then it transitions.
It
So
doesn't, but that's more like him feeling inadequate so far. Like, so far it hasn't fully... I feel like you're tainted by your later knowledge a little bit, that you know that it goes there. It hasn't gone there yet. It's just the setup for going there. It's a good setup for going there. I agree with you on that. But I feel like at the time I hadn't quite understood yet that it was specifically that he resented her. It felt like it was like, oh, well, he feels inadequate, which is still stupid. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it gets worse later because it's later really shown that he resents her in the way that the plot goes, in that she has to go to New York for a week for her career, and he's left at home with the kid. And then he's sitting there like, oh, like, yeah, the fucking wife, they suck the life out of you, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But also at this party, even before any of that is really set up, that he hates his wife and stuff, there is the wife-hating energy in a way, because he just randomly ogles a bunch of women at the party.
Yes.
Like, Mask style, with like the big, like, kind of Pepe Le Pew, gross, hearts floating, like, guy eyes bulging bullshit.
I know this isn't the actor's name, but why was Kumar in this movie? From Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle? Why was he mocap man?
Why was Bob Hoskins in this movie?
Well, we know why Bob Hoskins.
Bob
Hoskins had a lot of weed.
Bob Hoskins.
No, he had a lot of weed, and he was feeling pretty down after Super Mario Brothers, and he was trying to find some way to get back in. And Odin sounded like a good deal, right? Like, Bob Hoskins, you want to be Odin? Bob Hoskins be like, oh shit, I want to be Odin. That sounds great. What movie is it? Don't worry about it.
Well, no, they said it's a movie that has a budget of almost $100 million and will pay you a paycheck.
Yeah.
And he went, okay.
That's Bob Hoskins,
that's fair. And in 2005, that is Bob Hoskins' career. It shouldn't have been, but it was. So I'll agree.
And as we all know, Bob Hoskins had no career before Super Mario Brothers.
A much better question is, why is Alan Cummings in this movie? I think that's a really good question.
I don't know. He plays Loki basically the same as the Marvel Loki.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
if you cut out...
It looks very different. He's Leather Daddy Loki.
He's Leather Daddy. Well, okay. If you type Leather Daddy Loki into Twitter right now,
Bing.
You're going to get... Or Bing. Or anywhere.
Bing.
You're going to get so many thirsty people. The thing people want the most...
Do you think that people are thirsty for this
Loki?
Leather Daddy Loki, though?
Well, this Leather Daddy Loki looks like he came out of a fucking Hot Topic, so... Maybe not. This Leather Daddy Loki wears a fucking chain wallet.
This Leather Daddy Loki looks like he was on a 90s version of Entourage.
He's got so much fucking gel in his hair. Like, you wonder if it's plastic, which the Mask's hair is plastic for no fucking reason, but...
He's 30 seconds away from yelling spring break at any moment that he's on screen.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's really hard to explain his hairstyle. It's
what's weird is that Leather Daddy Loki, I hate that this is his name now, but Leather Daddy Loki is the most wholesome character in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the villain, but he's not evil.
No.
He's okay, so what it is there's a difference between antagonist and protagonist. The antagonist of the movie is Loki, and the antagonist and protagonist and villain and hero. Yeah. The antagonist is Loki, and the protagonist is Tim Avery, but the hero is Loki, and the villain is the dad.
The villain is our main character. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so
our main character, by the way, who is a man-child, and you know how we know he's a man-child? No, this is a serious question. Do you know how we know he's a man-child? They showed it to us.
I mean, there's a lot of ways. I can't pick one. Do I have to pick one?
One. Tell me one.
I mean, the way that he... I just go ahead. It's fine.
Okay, whatever you're going to say was wrong. It's because he's playing... Mario Kart Advance on a Game Boy Advance SP.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
That's how we know he's a man-child.
Oh, it does set that up, because he's in the car with his wife, and he hates listening to her so much that he's playing his game.
Yeah, he's ignoring his wife to play video games in the car, specifically Mario Kart.
What?
What?
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. That was flat out embarrassing. The mere mention of the word baby in your throat.
Hold
sounds
on.
like you swallowed
No,
the
no, no. You can't. Fuck off. That was not an SP he was holding, was
Okay,
it?
I'm just gonna say it.
That doesn't look
Yes,
like
they
Flat out
can.
but it is.
They can.
Mention of the word baby
They
in your
just
throat
did,
seems
boy.
so
What the
You don't
fuck?
understand.
Drano.
After seeing those kids,
Fuck, they just
Drano
did.
sounds like a good option.
They're playing Super... It's not Super Mario Kart. It's
have a baby you have someone
Mario
to play
video
Kart
games with.
Advanced?
Well, sure. Yeah. They are playing a Mario Kart.
You have someone you can relate to.
Why did
honey,
Nintendo
look.
get branding in this
I
movie?
know you're upset, okay? Can I ask you
They
one
fucked
question?
up.
That's a good question. Anyway, so he goes to the party.
this movie
I want to
sucks.
get on track. This is a role reversal. I want to finish talking about this movie. You can't fucking stop me from finishing talking about this movie, boys.
Uh-huh.
So he goes to the Halloween party. We're like 20 minutes into the movie, not even. He goes to the party. He has the mask on. His boss is all impressed with his bro attitude. I don't know. At least that's probably accurate, to be fair. And decides to give him a shot as an animator. Also, when he comes home, he bangs his wife. Which, of course, then makes her pregnant the next day. And then they just montage her pregnancy, even though she's barfing up bubbles and stuff. But everybody kind of glosses over all that. They're like, oh, that was weird. And then they just move on. Then they just drop it instantly, the very next scene. And suddenly she's had the baby and it's fine.
This movie brings up a very good point that previously had only been brought up in fanfics online.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that when you're wearing the mask, your semen is also affected by the mask.
Mm-hmm,
And it turns your semen into cartoon semen that will impregnate in a way that creates a cartoon baby. But because it's Loki's mask that Loki infused with his own magic.
Oh yeah, this is Norse mythology, by the way.
That he left on Earth for humans to use to cause chaos. This implies pretty heavily that when you're wearing the mask and you shoot semen, you're actually shooting Loki's semen.
It doesn't imply it.
No, it directly says it.
Yeah, no, it
No,
says it
yeah.
explicitly. Loki says that he's the dad.
Yes. So,
And I mean, in this movie, Loki is a daddy, so it makes sense.
so basically, he artificially inseminated this guy's wife by okay, anyway. I needed to
It's
why-
transubstantiation. Yeah.
It's something. It is something that gods would do, but it's kind of fucked up. It's kind of fucked up, is what I'm getting at.
So it's something that gods would do. You know, this is a better job
Yeah.
of Loki and Odin than maybe I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, but okay. So after the montage of her giving birth, which is like 3
God.
seconds of movie, there's 10 minutes of baby shit,
Well,
right? Like it skips over her doing that because
except
she's
that
an
it has 10 minutes
inconsequential.
yeah, it has 10 minutes of him doing baby
Him,
shit.
yeah, she
Him
is in,
specifically.
her being the mother is only integral to the plot because she was a womb to carry the baby in.
Yes. Also,
that is it.
I just want to point out, so like during this part, there's like a 1 minute montage of the pregnancy. Like it does it so fucking fast. Like 30
Yeah.
seconds to a minute are on the pregnancy, even though like her whole thing is that she wants to be pregnant and he doesn't. And then the next scene is this montage that you're talking about of him doing baby shit. And it's specifically him doing baby shit, and it's showing how much it's fucking up his life.
Yes.
And
Him,
how right
just
he
him.
was for not wanting to have the kid. And it's done over like 2 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
And during that entire time, it only shows her sleeping as he does all the work.
Yeah, because they gloss over everything she does.
So
Yes.
I was going to say, so the entire pregnancy is nothing,
Yeah.
but his personal, very, very real pain about just, occasionally getting up to feed the child is shown as this incredible, arduous task. Like, that was when I was like, oh no, that's what this movie is it's like this aggrieved divorced dad who's like, well, if you hadn't gotten fucking pregnant, then we'd still be like, it's, oh
Yeah,
god,
and then
instantly
like
that.
as he's at home, just like in tatters, dealing with this child, doing baby things, he calls his wife
Mm-hmm.
and talks to her about something because she goes off on a trip to New York because her work had her do that, and she has a successful career, and she's getting money for the family and helping raise the child and all that shit.
Meanwhile, he's a fucking mascot.
And he says on the phone, well, glad her work is going well.
Yeah.
He's resentful for her for being successful.
This is where it really,
It's
once she
such
goes on the
bullshit.
trip, that's when I was like, oh, the beginning of him, like, talking about how cool her career was and how bad his wasn't him feeling inadequate. It was literally, he was actually comparing careers. I just thought that he wished that he was an animator, but it's not about that. It's about that he's less successful than she is, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be like,
mad.
I wish I had my dream job. I get that. But it's not that. It's, oh, I just wish that I was more successful than my wife.
He's so fucking insecure. I'm talking about the writer. He is so fucking insecure that he feels threatened by his partner being more successful than him.
Mm-hmm.
What a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Immediately you're like, oh, God, this dad fucking sucks. This dad's literally the worst. On top of that, during all of this, oh, God, there are 4 different movies happening at once in this movie. That's a thing.
Yeah.
This movie is disjointed. Because there's also the subplot of Loki trying to get back the mask for Odin because Odin's mad, and while the kid gets born, Odin also has like a 10-second thing where he goes, "Born of the mask!"
Damn it, Bob Hoskins.
At least he doesn't look like Bob Hoskins.
What?
Oh my god. Wait, what?
What was that?
And like throws his arms in the air, and then they just cut from that, and it's like, oh, there's a kid born of the mask, and that's bad, I guess. I don't know. And then the dog is also shown like being sad outside in a doghouse where before it was in the house, and now it's like, oh no, the dog's sad because this piece of shit dad doesn't care about the dog anymore because they had a kid.
In me talking about everything that sucks in this movie, I forgot there was a dog. There is a good moment with the dog in this movie. There's a good
in
moment.
The beginning. Yeah.
In the first 5 minutes, they have an entire room for the dog, which is decorated for the dog, and it has toys for the dog, and they play with the dog, and they pet the dog, and he gets treats and cuddles and hugs, and it's adorable. And then they just forget they have a dog for 40 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
It's
but
just
they
dog.
do show the one scene in that time that's like set up for, oh, the dog's going to be jealous. But they do it once, and then they bring the dog back again 20 minutes later. Like, it's like,
yes,
you get a scene of the dog in the beginning, and then where it finds the mask, and then there's nothing for 20 minutes, and then you have one scene of it being sad in the doghouse instead of in the house, and then they forget about it for 20 minutes. And that's the way the Loki scenes feel too.
Yeah.
Because they'll just pop in every 15 minutes or so, there will be a 1-minute Loki scene, and then it'll just drop it for another 15 minutes, and then you're like, oh, right, yeah, there's still Loki's in this. Right, that's a thing in this movie.
Because Loki's trying... He knows a kid was born of the mask because Bob Hoskins says, born of the mask!
With thunder and lightning in
Thunder
a
and
green
lightning.
screen weird void, yeah.
Yeah, so he has to go find the kid and get his mask. So he got a registry from the hospital of the list of babies that were born that day in that hospital, and he's going down the list one by one in time order of when they were born
Yes.
to try and find the baby. And along the way, he's murdering parents left and right.
I fucking loved this part actually. Like it was
And
pretty
then
good.
finding the baby and be like, not the right baby, and throwing it out a window. Like,
This is
yeah,
the only unique thing that this movie did. Like, I mean, it's not even super unique, but it was the only thing that wasn't just like an exact ripoff, because we'll get to those in a minute.
yeah.
And it was good. Like that they actually went in full force with. Like he comes in as like a vacuum salesman and is like, "Hey, ma'am, you ever had a vacuum?" And then he like vacuums her up and just like, it's stupid and it's slapstick, but it is a little bit of fresh air because Alan Cummings actually acts and it kind of has some timing. Like,
Yes?
Good afternoon. May I come in?
this isn't even that bad. Like, it honestly is shot kind of okay and stuff. It's just boring.
Exactly the kind of person
Yeah.
the Vacuumizer 3000 was invented for.
Well, if I don't clean up, no one will.
That is why you need a Vacuumizer 3000. It has dual clean turbo air pads, triple brush roll, multi-Teflon coating filtering, and a beltless direct drive design that is so powerful it sucks the dirt off the dirt.
Is that safe?
Allow me to demonstrate.
Don't you need to plug it in?
This is a terrible demonstration.
The same thing with Jim Carrey's The Mask. Like, if you watch The Mask now, I mean, it's not that good of a movie. It's not that good.
It's probably a little perverted
That
and a
too,
little.
yeah.
It's also probably a little creepy.
Yes.
'Cause
I mean, there's
a
those
lot of like cold hitting on women and
Mhm.
harassing them and that type of
But
thing.
even if you cut out that stuff, it's not that great of a movie. And especially, like, if you sat down and just describe the things that happen in The Mask, it sounds really bad. But
Mm.
it's carried by the fact that Jim Carrey has charisma and timing and can pull off the slapstick, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's got that, and Alan Cummings has a bit of that too. Jamie Kennedy has none of that.
I
that's
feel like-
part of the problem.
I feel like they should have just made Alan Cummings do both roles.
Yeah.
Just Eddie Murphy this.
Yeah, or just have somebody else play Jamie Kennedy or Alan Cummings. Just drop the Loki shit and have Alan Cummings do the main character. There could have been a lot of things. There's a million problems with this movie. You can't fix it with just one thing. But that is one of the things that's wrong with it, is that, and it really nails it home because you get like these long stretches of Jamie Kennedy doing baby shit and then like a minute of Loki, and it, rather than being super excited about when Loki's on, it's almost just like, well, why didn't we have this as a movie? Like, you always just feel like it just kind of scores the fact that it's so bad whenever the baby and Jamie Kennedy are on screen, rather than like makes you happy to see Alan.
Yeah, no, that's right.
If that makes sense. So he's got the kid at home, but he's got to do a deadline thing, and it's driving him nuts. So he hates the kid, and he talks about how much he hates the kid over and over and over, including being on the phone and saying, "Yeah, I hate this kid. They suck the life out of you," which is like a direct quote.
Yeah, I still got the kid. Oh, God, you have no idea. Man, did they suck the life out of you.
Of what he says. And so the kid then gets angry because this is a super magical baby, and he puts the kid in front of the TV, which his wife explicitly told him not to do, but he doesn't give a shit about her either. So he just shoves the kid in front of the TV and tries to get his work done, and the kid starts mimicking the stuff on the TV. Oh, by the way, when I say that he like leaves the kid in front of the TV, I mean he has his whole day and goes to bed, and the kid's still watching TV.
He's a shitty parent.
He's a shitty person.
Yeah.
But they
Our hero, everyone.
Spoken! Now the kid realizes that he hates the dad and decides to do a whole bunch of the exact cartoon shit that he watched on the TV
Like,
with his dad.
this is what we mean by Family Guy shit. It's literally,
This is where it becomes it.
do you
yes.
remember this? And then they do the scene.
Well, I would argue that it's worse than that.
Okay.
Because it's not because the normal do you remember this and then they show it hasn't actually shown you the literal exact cartoon that it came from 5 minutes ago. Because they show the kid watching TV and watching all of the bits that they then exactly recreate 5 minutes later. So you just see it double.
This movie actually assumes the audience is stupid. Family Guy at least assumes that you know what they're talking about, right? They at least assume you understand the reference.
I wouldn't call that Family Guy assuming that you're smart, but...
No, but they at least assume that you know what they're talking about. This movie assumes you're so dumb.
Yes,
you don't even know this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that... Okay, I would say that Family Guy assumes that you're smarter than this movie assumes you're smart, but, like, that's a low bar.
And we're talking about, like, Bam Bam from the Flintstones, the dancing frog, which is referenced in everything.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl.
We're talking about, like, Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah.
Like, fucking Wile E. Coyote. Like,
it's all the
Roadrunner shit. It's just that. Yeah, Tom and Jerry, for sure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's literally just that, but they assume that you don't even know what those are.
Yeah, The Mask does the same thing. Like, the original Mask does all the same stuff.
There's a little bit of Tex Avery, with, like, the woo-woo, like, the guy, like, making, dog noises.
Yeah, and, like, the rolled out tongue and stuff, and like, the bang coming out of it.
But they don't show you the cartoon before.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying The Mask does a better job of it. Like, I feel like that's the difference between these movies in a lot of ways, too, is that the one is doing, and it also puts it into new contexts.
Yes.
Right? It does something, it takes cartoon energy and then places it against real life things and like shows this weird dichotomy and does like a joke with that. Whereas this just recreates exactly in real life what the cartoon just showed.
I think we just invented something. Let me check my note.
Because he does the baby does like a hello my honey, hello my baby. Well, he's talking about they suck the life out of you. And then he goes to all the neighbors and is like, look at my baby who sings and dances. And then the baby stops singing and dancing.
We didn't invent anything new, I'm sorry. What you're talking about is transformative work.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the term. It's transformative. This movie is not transformative. This is derivative. That's the problem.
Yeah. Because, again, like, The Mask is doing it as... It's an homage to it where, it, like I said, it's taking that cartoon energy and doing something that those cartoons haven't done before, putting it in real life and like kind of mashing it together. Same as like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and all, like that kind of thing. Those are better movies. This movie just goes, hey, have you ever seen a cartoon? No, and by that I mean this exact cartoon, because here it is again.
That we're showing you?
We're going to show it to you. This one that we're going to show you. Oh, hey, that cartoon that we just literally showed you, we're now going to do it in real life. It does it a bunch.
Can you imagine if Spaceballs showed you the reference for everything they were doing before they did the reference?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes. Well, except for the ass dynamite.
There was that scene where Loki stuck a stick of dynamite up his asshole and then lit a fuse.
Up his own ass, yes.
No, it's like, it's in there. It's
stuck. In his own ass.
Wiggling around as he's walking. Yeah. That's a fetish.
And he doesn't do it. I thought that it was the kid that was doing it to him to like get him.
No, he did it to himself. No.
He just does it.
He just dropped trowel, opened his asshole, and shoved a dynamite stick up it. Yeah.
Yep.
So you find a mask and meet me at... Where shall we meet?
Why is that in his ass?
So difficult getting a table there, especially on
I
Friday.
No,
am-
it's literally in his
How
asshole.
about we meet
Yeah.
in an alley in the city?
No, it's
By the
up
way,
his butthole.
Or, sure, it's a little cliche, but it's not
Sure,
like
you're-
it's so cliche that I think to myself, wow, that's too cliche. But meet me in that alley within the hour with the mask. If you ever want to see your little monster, I can. No!
He lit dynamite in his ass.
It was explicitly up his ass. Yeah. I have another complaint about this movie, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, and this is kind of upsetting me from a rough cuts standpoint more than just this particular film.
Mhm.
Oh, why do so many of our movies have extended piss scenes? Like, why does that keep happening? Do we need a 1-minute piss fountain? Did that need to happen?
Why do all the movies try and kill the dog? This one doesn't. This one doesn't kill the dog. It doesn't try
This
to
one
kill the dog.
definitely tries to kill the dog. There's
Well, but it
that whole
doesn't-
scene
no,
with it's in cartoon violence.
It's the cartoon violence, though. That's the thing. Is there's nobody gets actually hurt in the cartoon violence kind of stuff. But so okay,
there was
all
nose
of the
lady.
baby shit
nose
is happening.
lady. Yeah,
And the baby is trying to kill the dad. The dog then tries to kill the baby because the dog wants to be with the dad and so wants the baby out of the way.
yeah.
And the dad doesn't know this, and I don't know. So all of that happens. It's just a long extended sequence. In the meantime, we've got like the montage that's very, very slowly trickling out every 10 minutes at a time in 30-second intervals of Loki looking for the kid.
Uh-huh.
He finally gets to their house, shows up, sees that there's a piano hanging from the rafters, and the dad's like screaming, "Oh my god, piss everywhere! Oh, piss, 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 piss!" And like just all of the incredible damage and weird shit that's happened to the house, looks around and goes, "Well, this obviously isn't my kid," turns around and walks out of the fucking room, which is just so frustrating. It's just so dumb. Anyway, but
I mean, there's also the scene right after that where he follows him into the alley, and as he's about to knock him out and steal the baby, Odin
Yes.
shows up. He's like, "Hey, fuck you, Loki!" But the baby's right. I'm literally doing what you asked me to do, Odin. That's the dad. You're controlling the literal dad holding the literal baby that was created by my mask. That guy has the mask, and Odin's like, fuck him, and just
Well,
steals his powers for no reason.
I get it.
Literally
Yeah,
no
I
reason.
forgot about. Okay, there's a bunch of other Odin shit in here that makes no sense because Odin is constantly he goes, "Loki, you must find the kid in the mask through any means." And then
Yeah.
anytime that Loki tries to do anything at all to try and find out where the mask or the kid is, Odin's like, "The fuck you doing, Loki, you piece of shit, you goddamn motherfucking idiot," and just screaming and yelling at him and like taking his powers away and beating him up. And it's just, he's doing what you ask. He's doing the thing. You said to find it. What's the fucking point, Bob? But yeah, so Loki doesn't realize it's a kid, and then 5 seconds later he does for
Yeah.
reasons. It's God. And then so the alley scene happens right after this. Loki chases them to an alley. He sees the dad and the kid and he goes, "Hand over your kid. He's born of the mask." Born of the mask. And then he attacks him with a big, I can't even remember, like an explosion of some kind, a big cartoon. Oh yeah, no, he does the fireball. He does the Frieza fireball.
He does
I forgot
the
about
Frieza
this.
fireball. Lifts both hands over.
He
his
turns,
head.
he lifts both hands
Yeah.
in the air and just,
Yeah.
he totally does. It's actually more he does like the finger Frieza one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's totally a DBZ thing. And he throws it at the dad, and the kid protects himself. And then the dad assumes that means that the kid loves him? But
And
the
he
kid's
does
just protecting
now,
himself.
or whatever. No, the kid doesn't give a shit about him still. No.
It doesn't make any sense that this is the
Yeah.
moment that they bond, because he's sitting there yelling and screaming about how much he hates the kid 2 seconds before this. Then the kid just defends himself, not even the dad, and then they're instantly like, "Oh, we love each other." That's literally their arc. It's just this one moment.
It's so hack.
And it's at this exact moment when they're in the middle of this fight that Odin goes, Loki, no, you're bad, actually. You shouldn't be doing this. The thing that I told you explicitly to do. Fuck you, Loki, and takes away his power.
Yeah, but like, so he takes away his power, and then in the next scene, Loki climbs into the baby's window at night, summons Odin. He's like, hey, look, I'm in the room with the baby that you were literally just holding that I told you was the baby. So, like, give me my powers back. And Odin just says, okay. So what the fuck was the point?
Yeah, and then he shoves dynamite up his ass and,
Yeah, and then he shoves dynamite
fires
up his
himself
ass.
into the sky to escape with the baby.
Okay, first of all, the dad wakes up, Tim.
Yeah.
And he goes to check in on his son who's sleeping in the crib, and then we get a shit post where the kid turns over and it's like Loki's face.
Yeah,
saying,
that was actually really good.
yeah, and it's Loki's face. Dada.
Daddy.
Guess who?
That looks like a ship post.
That's pretty amazing.
That does not. No.
Pretty amazing.
Is that you?
Yeah, and then Loki shows up as the wife, and he's like, "You idiot! I'm Loki. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm just fucking with you. I'm gonna shove this dynamite up my ass and fly out of the ceiling." Like, okay, Loki. But then
I
but
kind of
this is-
love most of the Loki
like,
scenes.
that was great.
I kind of love most of the
The
Loki scenes.
problem is, it follows up with the wife actually showing up at home and him assaulting her.
God, that scene is so fucking uncomfortable.
They had a good, legitimate, funny moment, and they followed up with assault.
We shouldn't talk about this. I don't
No,
want to
it
get into
sucks.
that. Yeah, actually. It's
Like,
really
why is
bad.
it there? And then it cuts to Loki in the alley, just like playfully playing games with the kid. Like, it's so out of place. I hate it.
Spoken! This movie just hates the woman and everything about her, and it commits literal violence against her because of that.
But
The Man! Fun podcast!
like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why this movie is infamous. I don't get it. Like, none of this is
because we just
interesting.
said why. Because that's so awful that you
Yeah,
don't
but-
want to watch it.
But like, none of this is
You're right in that it's not okay. I think that the problem is that a lot of the movies that are infamous like this, they're infamous like this where they say, oh, you don't want to watch it, but the idea is, yes, you actually do because it's so bad that there's something interesting about
yeah.
it. And this one is actually, no, you don't want to watch this.
Yes.
That's the issue that we're having, is that this one is literally it's not the haha funny, oh, you shouldn't watch The Room. It's no, don't watch this.
The internet needs to stop joking about this movie, is what I'm getting at. They need to
I think that
stop.
because most people don't. I think the problem is that most people haven't actually watched this movie,
Yeah.
and it has a reputation for being bad, and people assume that the rep for being bad means that it's bad good. And they don't understand that not all bad movies are stuff that is actually, like, funny, redeemable.
Yeah.
Because this movie isn't. This movie is, like,
No.
as much as I said that I think that it's not as bad as what you're saying in a way, it is not funny, redeemable. It's still just a steaming pile of shit that you shouldn't watch even for funny parts. Like, it's
No.
not that kind of movie.
But okay, so Mask Tim goes after Loki, and they drive to a boxing match.
Yeah,
guess.
there's a whole chase scene thing.
I
Like,
don't give a shit about the
Yeah, he
chase.
grabs his wife and she's like, "What are you doing? Like, where are we going anywhere?" And then he finds the dog and he
Yeah.
talks to the dog and says like, "Oh, you have to give me the mask because you're my best friend, dog, and that means that
They made up, I guess.
that you'll be the kid's best friend as he grows up. That's what it means, I guess." So then the dog gives him the mask and he turns into the mask. I wanted to bring this up because just of how much this movie is the self-insert again, that he puts the mask on and his appropriately traumatized and angry wife
Yeah.
who he has dismissed and belittled throughout this film, immediately goes, "Oh my god, he's hot."
Yep.
Spoken! With his plastic orange hair and everything. As Loki in the alley, I just also want to mention this. Loki in the alley is like, "Wow, you're my son, huh? Well then, can you do this?" And does like a big cartoon Taz spin, and you're like, "Oh, he's gonna like change into something weird." And then turns back to his exact same Loki. He just does a fast spin, and then the kid does a fast spin, and then they look at each other and goes, "Wow, amazing." And
It's like a Family Guy joke with no punchline.
So, I loved how that it
Yeah.
just we ran out of budget or ideas, so they transform into nothing, I guess. So yeah.
And then they do the good, bad, the ugly because they have to make a reference to that too.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, whatever. But the point is, they go to the boxing match. None of that shit matters.
They
They
do
go
it-
to the
yeah, they
boxing
do
match.
chase
They
scenes.
fight in the boxing match, doing other cartoon shit that doesn't make any sense. And then they reference the cartoon where Bugs is drawing Daffy with a pencil. But
Yeah.
in this case, it's Loki that's the pencil drawing things for the mask
Mhm.
to like fuck with them in the fight. But again, none of this matters. The whole point is Loki stops the fight in the middle and is like, you know what? This is stupid. This is dumb. What are we doing? Let's just airbud this shit.
This is a waste of time. We're evenly matched opponents. I think we should let the kid decide.
Oh, they're
What?
airbutting it. They're airbutting it. They're doing airbud.
airbud his child?
What?
And the mom doesn't say anything. No. No.
They're doing the airbud thing.
The mom doesn't care. The mom's just sitting there.
Alvy?
Yeah, he goes like, we're both invincible gods. We can both just use cartoon logic forever. Neither one of us can harm the other. This is fucking dumb. Why are we doing this? Why is this a movie? Can you let us out of this movie, Lawrence Guterman? I want out.
Yes.
What has my contract said? Somebody call my agent. And then the director yelled cut, and they went, keep the first part and leave the rest out.
cut the end
Just-
part,
just-
yeah.
just keep the part where he says, "What are we doing here?" and then cut the rest of it.
But they airbud it. They let the kid decide who's his dad.
Yeah.
Like they put him in the middle. They're like, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Let's go, pal.
I did like
I'm
this.
your dad.
I did like this. This part was great.
They fucking
Lex is just like head in hands right now, crying, and I thought this was amazing. Kids are dogs. Kids are dogs, right?
Fucking
Aren't kids
airbud it.
dogs?
They
Kids can just be
fucking
dogs.
airbud it. It's so dumb.
The wife is sitting on the side watching this and says nothing. She's fine with this. She's totally cool.
Yes, because it's the only thing that's important is Tim. He is the center of the world.
Oh, it's so incredible. That
sucks.
Yes. This part, I like that part of the movie, just how much it's this aggrieved, like, white divorced dad kind of gives me life just because it's so blatant and so mad
The
about
kid
it.
rightfully is going towards Loki, who's actually a good dad.
Yes, who actually cares about him and has been
and-
playing games with him and is excited to
Yeah.
see him. Yes.
And instead, Tim, the mask guy, takes off his mask and he's like, "Look, no mask, no superpowers. Let's just be a real family. I have always loved you." And he starts lying his fucking ass off to this kid about how much he loved him, how much he totally cares about this kid, and that they're gonna be a good family together. And the kid fucking buys it.
He's
It doesn't
actually
go
a
towards-
cool, good dad. Didn't you know? Didn't
Yeah,
you know? Didn't you
like
watch
all
the movie?
all that shit I
Cool
did
good
where
dad he is?
I talked down about you and mom was just because I'm a good dad.
He's actually the good guy. Mm-hmm.
Spoken!
And then Odin shows up. He's like, "You fucked up. Your timer's done. Your digital clock analog sand timepiece is over."
I'm fine with that. That's the goofy energy that it needs.
Yeah, and he goes to berate Loki, and then Tim walks over. Is like, "Hey, now you can't go talking about that. I just made up with my son, and now you're gonna do the same thing. In fact, here's the mask the whole movie was about. You could just have it. I don't care. Now go make up and go home or whatever, you silly kids."
There's so little tension and stakes in this movie. It's incredible. Because everybody, if all they had to do was just give them the mask and then just be done from the beginning.
that could've
Nobody
ended,
cares.
like, 10
Loki's
minutes
not
in.
evil. Loki just wants
Yeah.
the mask back because Odin says that he wants the mask back. And
Yeah.
it's supposed to cause terrible problems in the mortal world. So they're just gonna get the mask back. And he doesn't want the mask, so what's the fucking point?
There isn't a point. This whole movie's pointless.
So, but yeah, he gives the mask back because that's a thing. And then suddenly Odin and Loki don't give a fucking shit about the kid anymore, even
No,
though that
they
was like a
just
big
leave.
thing too. Like, oh, he's born of the mask, born of the mask. Like, it would have made 100% sense.
Yeah.
What they set up here, I feel like there has to be a cut scene, which I don't know why they'd have cut it, of Odin going, all right, and now I'll take away the kid's powers, and goes, no.
Yeah,
and,
they
sucks
have a
up the
big
kid's
fight
powers.
and talk and a learning moment as Loki pops in and be like, "No, let the kid have them."
No. They don't, but like, just
No.
no joke. Like, they actually needed to just take the kid's
Yeah.
powers away because
They did, yes. Yeah.
it
no, I
makes
agree.
sense. Like, it's so weird they didn't do that because it feels like they had to with what a big deal they made about Born of the Mask, and then the end of the movie feels like it's supposed to be a twist, but it isn't because they didn't do that. Because the baby winks at the camera at the end in a cartoon way, so it's like, oh, I still have my powers, but his powers were never taken away, so we know that. Like, I don't see
Yeah.
why that was an issue. Wasn't that the whole thing?
Maybe the baby was winking at them posting feet on Maine.
Oh god, that's really creepy. Yeah. Ew. I don't need that.
You can't post feet on Maine.
Ugh.
Yay! Yay!
What?
They're really focusing on them feet.
They really like feet.
You might need to add
Yeah.
I don't know, like in the final minutes, this film just goes, hey kids, hey, you ever see some feet? They
They had an
this is
extended
the
feet sequence.
and again, this is actually feeding into the part of the movie that I really
Yeah.
like in the bad
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and that is
Oh, you really like
Just-
feet.
no,
Go on. Go on. Yeah.
not the feet, not the feet.
Uh-huh.
I like how incredibly aggrieved the writer or director or both were at how much people don't appreciate how cool and awesome they are,
Yeah.
because they have an entire scene in this movie at the end that's him at his job again with his boss who goes, wow, I've never seen something so inspired as this, such a sublime, incredible, unbelievable motion picture put to film that, like, nay, if Jesus himself came down to earth, could not touch. And it's them filming The Son of the Mask. It's them filming this exact movie. Oh,
Yes.
the dad and the
Yes.
dog, the kid and the dog vying for dad's attention. Truly the greatest, most incredible piece of art that animation has ever put to the form. And it's just this incredible sequence of them kissing his ass for how great he is as they film exactly Son of the Mask. And then the baby
Yeah.
winks at the camera.
There's no point to it winking to the camera though, because
No,
they don't even know what they're doing.
no, but I do love that the movie has to tell you how incredible and wonderful and amazing this movie is. Did you see this? Oh, the greatest how privileged you, the viewer, you must feel at this moment to have been a tiny piece
Okay,
of seeing Son of Mask.
I was just reading something. I'm looking at Roger Ebert's review of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a word about Baby Alvy in this movie. I have never much liked movie babies who do not act like babies because I think they're
Mhm.
scary.
Yes. Yes.
I especially do not like Baby Alvy, who behaves not according to the rules for babies, but more like a shape-shifting creature in a Japanese anime.
Did Roger Ebert just say anime was a mistake? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ebert.
That's the reason why this movie's infamous, though, is that
Alright.
none of the other movies that we've talked about, or very few of the other movies that we've talked about as being like famous bad movies,
Yeah.
have a Roger Ebert review.
They don't have a Roger Ebert review
This
about how the
movie
baby
got
is like
enough
his
of a
Japanese
wide release.
animes.
Yeah. This movie got enough of a wide release that Roger Ebert talked about it. That's why this movie's famous.
Oh, man.
Because it has a $100 million budget.
I can't believe Roger Ebert compared the baby in this movie to anime. I can't
Yeah, that doesn't-
believe
that
that.
does
That
not-
doesn't
that
make
doesn't
any
follow.
fucking sense. It doesn't make
You know what
any
that tells
fucking
me?
sense.
That tells me that Roger Ebert has not seen a lot of anime.
Nope.
But
Holy
also,
shit.
but this baby does act like it acts like a horror monster. This movie feels
Yeah,
like it was going to at
it
any
does.
moment get very real
Like-
and bloody and turn into a horror movie.
Like, the baby is shooting things that would kill real people. But instead it does cartoon things.
yeah.
So, but it felt like it could have gone the other way. Yes.
Yeah.
And in
And I-
some cases it does. Loki literally murders people in cartoon fashion. He cuts the face off of Ben Stein. Thank you, by the way. And puts his face on display in a museum.
Yeah, he did. Again, this is why I like Loki. He literally
Yeah.
murders Ben Stein,
Yeah.
which is I appreciated. I think
Anything that
that-
gets Ben Stein out of this movie is good.
Yeah, I think that part of the thing is that dark undertone of like real cartoon violence
Yes.
that works in an original The Mask or a Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Agreed.
where it's not actually really a kids movie entirely, right? Like they play into that dark tone a bit.
Because in
and-
The Mask, when he does cartoon stuff, it has real consequences to people. Like it's not just like somebody's head turns into a nose. When he shoots at the gangsters with his fucking look at this gun, it's big, and he goes like and extends out into a bunch of bullets. That fucking kills the gangsters.
Yeah, he's
fucking-
blowing up
He
cars. and
literally
stuff with
shoots
it.
them. Like
Yeah.
the cartoon thing is mixed with real life actual violence. It's just presented in a cartoon fashion. In this movie, it's just cartoon violence.
Well, also, I was gonna say too that it just makes sense that, like, The Mask is, as you said, when he
Yeah.
shoots the gangsters. Like
Yeah.
the plot of The Mask is also just geared towards like
It's a
much
darker story.
a darker audience, a darker story. Like it's set up as not being a like kids movie, even if you might have a kid go to it and watch it as a family or something, it's not a kids movie in the way that this is a kids movie, right?
Yeah,
Like it's a
agreed.
young adult kind of family film more so than anything. And this feels like it's aimed at 6-year-olds, but still has the dark, weird violence, which is just like, I don't know who this movie is aimed at because it has him banging his wife and the whole pregnancy thing, and then like kids suck the life out of you and all these things, but then also it has like cartoon stuff where it feels like it's for 8-year-olds with the baby and the dog.
I know exactly who this movie is for. This is a movie that is exactly for the director
Yes,
and
that's
exactly
what I
for
was-
the writer.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the part that I
Those
like
are
about
the-
it is
those
how
are
much
the
it's
two
tuned.
people.
specifically for their personal grievances against
They're-
the industry.
They're white male power fantasy. That is this
Yeah.
movie. It sucks.
Yeah, it's for and that's why I loved how blatant it is at the end, that it just has that whole scene of them filming his most incredible idea where they've groveled back to him to give him his old job because how incredible an idea Son of the Mask is. Like this movie itself.
Well, I don't have
You're
any
gonna rate
jokes.
Otis?
Yeah, I don't have any jokes anymore. This movie's. I
Gonna
don't-
rate
no
Loki?
joke.
Who
We
are you
should. We
rating?
should. I guess we could rate Otis. Otis is good in the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I hate him. The moment he
Well,
turns
Otis
into cartoon
doesn't
dog,
show up in the movie anymore. It's only
Well,
a CGI dog after that.
it's not even a CGI dog. It's just Wile E. Coyote with a different
Yes.
with a different skin placed on top of the frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even Otis. That's the thing that pisses me off the most about that. It's not even that dog. It's just Wile E. Coyote.
Wile E. Coyote or Tom, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just Tom and Jerry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Otis is as a dog, which is very small amount of the movie. Otis is like a 12 out of 10 dog. That is a very good dog.
It's a good Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah.
It has a mask collection, its own room. It loves its master so much that it wants
Yeah.
to murder. Wait, I'm coming around on later, Otis. I'm starting to like this. No, but the master is Jamie Kennedy in The Mask.
Yep.
Okay, never mind. Going back down on Otis. Yeah, Otis
Yep.
settles it around 11.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Loki is a very good boy. Is a real good dad. Has a heart of gold. And sometimes he just murders some people for no reason. He's like a pretty solid 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I honestly 12 out of 10 for Loki. Loki's a good boy.
Yeah.
Loki's slightly better than Otis.
Yeah,
Slightly
maybe.
better than Otis for me. Just a
Yeah.
little bit.
I don't know how to end this episode.
Loki
I
doesn't
hate-
get any pets though. Bob Hoskins doesn't lean down and pet Loki, so I think we end it there. That's how we end it. That's how it ends.
Yeah.
This movie, would you say that you hate this movie and that they suck the life out of you? Much like children.
Only if I was sitting in a dark room talking to my most personal friend, Kumar, who does nothing but wear a mocap suit everywhere. He never takes off that mocap suit. Just
Who's just permanently in a mocap suit.
permanently in a mocap suit. God bless you, Kumar.
Mocap mark. So, thanks for listening to Rough Cuts. This one was painful. Son of the Mask has a deserved undeserved reputation. It goes, there's the one side of those movies where sometimes they get the infamous reputation where you kind of need to watch them, and then there's the Paul Blarts, and this lands on the Paul Blarts. This is a Paul Blart, is what this is. This is a Blart. It's a Blart. It's a movie so bad that it's bad, and you don't watch it.
Yeah, yep.
Oh no, we found out what the Son of the Mask is, and it's Paul Blart. Maybe, oh god, maybe he winked at the camera because that child was Paul Blart. What I'm saying is, we're gonna have to watch Paul Blart.
Blart.
I am not watching Paul Blart for this podcast. Don't make me watch Paul Blart for this podcast. Mark Blart,
Call Blart. Blop. No.
See you next week. Thank you for donating to the Patreon and following our Twitter. Goodbye.
Guess who?